Jai Baba, Chapter 113. Shama got himself a bullock cart and left for Kopargaon. He met Appa Kote en route. Appa was on his way to Chandwad. His granddaughter was visiting Chandwad and Appa had to bring her back home. The moment Shama told Appa about the journey planned ahead, Appa insisted on accompanying Shama for the festivities and the pilgrimages. However, Appa was in a slight quandary as he did not have much money for this journey. Appa was a wealthy man, but at that moment he did not have enough money on him, but Shama told him not to worry as he was carrying enough money for both of them. Appa happily got onto the bullock cart. Shama and he continued on their journey. First they went to Nagpur to attend the thread ceremony of Kaka Sahib's eldest son. Kaka Sahib gave Madhav Rao 200 rupees to take care of the expenses. Shama realized that it was a blessing from Sai. Then from Nagpur they travelled to Gwalior for Nana Sahib's family wedding, and here Nana gave Shama another 100 rupees. The bride's father Jathar gave Shama 100 rupees as well, and thus our man Shama had the handsome sum of 400 rupees with him. It was a large sum in those days for sure. Jathar was the owner of a Lakshmi Narayan temple at Kashi. He also owned a Lord Rama temple in Ayodhya. Both were very beautiful temples. Shama and Anna were treated with warm hospitality in both these places. They stayed in Ayodhya for 21 days and in Kashi for 2 months. After their stay, they began their train journey to Gaya. En route, they found out that a plague had broken out. They were obviously worried. They were far from home and most importantly far from Sai. The train arrived in Gaya at night and they both stayed in a guest house. The next morning a Brahmin met them and told them to hurry up as a number of pilgrims had assembled. We are worried as there is a plague that has broken out in Gaya. Oh, don't worry about all this. Come and see for yourself. They accompanied the Brahmin to his house and were impressed by his dwelling. Most importantly, they were ecstatic to see Sainatha's picture on the wall. A great sense of relief and love filled Shama's body. Who said Sai was far away from them? He was right here. Remember, in those days, Baba's photograph wasn't so readily available everywhere. So, to be far away in a residence of somebody who believed in Baba overwhelmed Madhav Rao. Tears began to gush down his face. Why are you crying? Is all well? The Brahmin inquired. I have told you there is no cause for fear regarding the plague. You are all perfectly safe here. Trust me, this news about the plague has been exaggerated. You must also have faith that you are in safe hands. If you do not believe me, you can go outside and ask anybody. No, it is nothing of this sort. We are not worried about the plague. We have the protection of Sai Baba of Shirdi. He has blessed our trip, and if he has blessed our trip, no harm can come even close to us. Let me explain why I am so overwhelmed and have begun to cry. Then Shama explained to the Brahmin that he got overwhelmed when he saw Baba's photograph in his house. He narrated what Baba had told one and all before Shama had commenced his pilgrimage. Baba had told everybody, I shall arrive much before Shama. Months before, while Baba was sitting in Masjidai, he had already known that he was present in your house in the form of a photograph, and thus he had told one and all that he would arrive in Gaya much before me. Please tell me how you got Baba's photograph here. Don't you remember, Shama? No, I don't remember anything. It was you who introduced me to Sai Baba. Very lovingly you let me stay at your house for a few days. Yes, all this happened 12 years ago. Slowly Shama remembered. The Brahmin smiled. He was a wealthy man, which was apparent from his luxurious house, but he was also a good, humble man. He had about 200 people working under him. They kept track of all the pilgrims who came to Gaya to perform pujas, and they maintained a register for the same. 12 years prior, this Brahmin had arrived in Shirdi for some work. He had heard about the great Sai Baba of Shirdi, so he had decided to take his darshan. He met Shama, who not only insisted that the man should live in his house, but he also took him to meet Sai. Baba blessed him and he decided to get a photograph of Baba to be put up in his house, in a place of prominence. Shama had a photograph of Baba which was hanging in his house. The Brahmin asked Shama for the photograph. Shama sought Baba's permission. Baba agreed, and this is how the Brahmin had Baba's photograph hanging on the wall in his house. Shama nearly stood up. He had no recollection of ever having met this Brahmin, forget giving him Baba's photograph. Baba had organized a meeting with the same Brahmin after 12 years. Baba never forgot anything. Sai knew everything in advance. He was certain that Shama would go to Gaya and would need assistance as well as a place to stay. Thus, 12 years in advance, Baba had done all the planning. Hearing all this, the Brahmin also was humbled. Both of them remembered their first meeting. The Brahmin remembered how well Shama had taken care of him during his stay in Shirdi. In fact, the Brahmin had stayed at Shama's house, and it was Shama who had arranged the meeting between Baba and him. The Brahmin was a wealthy man, and there were elephants parked outside his house. The Brahmin sat in the palanquin but gave the honor of riding the elephant to Shama. All the necessary pujas were performed with great ease, all thanks to the Brahmin's influence and of course the grace of Baba Sai, who had made all the arrangements 12 years in advance. Peace be to all. Baba be with us on every pilgrimage, every journey, in this life and in every lifetime, till eternity and beyond the beyond. Jai Sai.